No, what I'm saying is someone's still gonna win, and it might be if just
I know
half the field, if just about half the field is playing badly, with golf, you can easily say, oh, the course must be hard. They're all playing bad. You know what I mean? It all kind of comes back to earth a little bit.
Sergio has been like, I can't wait to leave this place. Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah. Good evening. Happy Tuesday, as always. Thank you for joining us here on Divots and Pivots, episode 41. We are over the hill for the show. So welcome in, another great Tuesday. And as we've been doing the last few weeks, we're going to keep it mixed up. We're going to nothing's off the table here. There's golf news. There's always golf stories with, Live, PGA, the Houston Opens this week. Getting that itch to get back into DFS golf, so that we might have to start that sooner than later, get some practice tournaments in. But anyways, before we get into all that, as always, Bud, it looks like you're ready now. Welcome in, as always.
What the fuck's that supposed to mean?
You're good too.
Listen, here's the thing about two things. First of all, happy International Wear Your Camp T-shirt Day, and you knew I wasn't going to go an episode without talking about summer camp. It's
a real day.
It's an actual thing. It's out there. November 8th. This year's November 8th. I don't know if it's always the 8th or if it's always just like the second Tuesday of November. Last few years, if you've ever worked at a summer camp or gone to camp as a kid or whatever, on the interwebs, you see it out there. So happy International Camp T-shirt Day to you, sir.
Thanks.
Yes. But one of the things you learn about working at a summer camp is you have to be a duck at all times. No matter what is going on under the water, just to keep your head above water. That head above water better look calm, cool, collected. Mm-hmm. Quick pause. One of my wives, not one of my wives. One of my many. Big love the podcast. No, one of my wife's biggest pet peeves is when people say cool, calm, and collective. Is it collective? And you'll hear people screw that up now. And it's cool, calm, and collective. But anyways, got to be a duck. And we were being ducks until you ducked it up and had to call me out right off the rip. Yeah, no, I wasn't sure I was going to make it here at all, let alone on time. So it's good to be back. Good to see you. Good to be seen for the dozens of people who are watching. And I got to know, is it because I busted your chops so quick the last few weeks that you looked up where the PGA Tour was going to be?
No, I actually was just genuinely curious because my fantasy football season's going down the drain real fast. So I'm starting to get that itch for.
Well, let's start there. What's the problem? What's the problem, Coach?
Oh, the problem is that in my home league, I just lost to a team who had basically his whole team on bye because I have Aaron Rodgers on my team, which is an absolute disaster. Keenan Allen hurt all year basically so far. Marquise Brown hurt. It's been a lot of that. So
that's your home league, and I'm assuming that's with
my buddies. That's the one that I want, the one that I want to win the most because it's one I do have the most fun with.
Because nothing means more than beating your friends.
Exactly.
Just ask the guys who are still on the PGA Tour and are still friends. Do you do any week to week? Do you do any weekly DFS?
Yes.
Okay. So talk to me about that. How'd you do that? I love how you reached out for. Oh, hold on. Is it going just as bad?
Oh no! Week as far as DFS goes weekly. I'm not winning. I'm breaking even every week, pretty much. So
what week are we just in? We're just not week 9, week 10.
We're entering week 10 now.
All right, whatever. So I won my DFS league last week for the first time. First place, $80, 80 bones, 80 smackaroos.
It's a fantastic weekend.
Which basically kind of almost puts me at even for the year. So just one more of those and we'll be good. Good to go.
Beauty. All you need is one win sometimes and it can make your whole year.
I've decided that I'm going to allow my brain to do some analysis, not much, but some. So we have such our league is we only do the Sunday games, and Sunday, I think even day games. Like we decided, I think after a season or two, I came in about 2 or 3 seasons in, but then in my iteration, we decided to just kind of limit it to that scope. Forget the Thursday night, tremors or,
Yep.
scaries. And then even like just going into Monday, even waiting till Sunday night, we just said F it, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, because it's still the same pool of players. I mean, 6 of one, half dozen the other.
And that is considered the main slate, so that makes perfect sense.
Right.
Everything,
so for the first
Sunday
time,
night's a showdown, Monday night's a showdown, then you have your weird Sunday, Monday nights, then you have your Thursday through Mondays. And there's a lot of options, but the main slate, yes, you're right. That Sunday 1 and 4 o'clock game slate is the most popular for sure, and it just makes sense, like you said.
So I took the Guru's picks. I stepped back, and after just following the Guru, I had something like $1,200 in salary left. So that's when I went back in and just kind of it was almost like, I don't know if you ever played the old Nintendo game Baseball Stars.
Yes.
And you'd go in and you had certain dollars and you could pump up their running or whatever. That's basically what I went back and did, and just priced out quarterback and flex, and they both delivered. So
perfect.
I was pretty happy with that. Flying high there.
Nice.
But let's go back to what you brought up at the beginning. The Houston Open is going on, the PGA Tour. Who gives a flip? This is really kind of I'm really starting to already get over fall golf, and I know I'm not. I feel like this is the golf podcast, but it is hard. I don't care who's playing in the whatever Houston Open, because the backdrop of everything else, and knowing it is such a long way until Augusta.
I know.
Or for me personally, I do that for the masses. For me personally, I get up for the players. That's
I do too.
Mean, my personal connection there and my love affair with that property. But I just don't care. What Houston Open, great. Somebody's going to win 500 bonus points for the FedEx Cup. Let me guess, you can catch it 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock on Golf Channel, and then
that's probably about it.
Maybe NBC's NBC doesn't have it anymore, and CBS and Fox sure as shit ain't running golf on Sunday. So
no, it's most likely just the Golf Channel right now.
I don't mind the team. I like Trevor Immelman. I like their coverage. I am just having a hard time getting super duper up for fall golf, which is good, because I think next week we're going to have a friend join us to talk about the biggest distraction of the year, Live, which I'm going to need. I need that. I need a reason to tune back into anything Live related. I think I saw that maybe Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay, those are the names floating around. Did they go? Didn't they? I Googled right before.
I haven't heard anything. I feel like that would have blown up with the way I've been going back and forth with some trolls at times. I feel like that would have popped up in my algorithm for sure.
What? Pause. Who you are you keyboard battling some people out there? Talk to me. Did I leave my wingman hanging?
No. So I'm not actually, which is funny. I forget it was one day last week, or maybe it was even over the weekend. I forget. I simply like reiterated a point you made on the show, like that this is just own that they're a startup and be happy with that and accept that and stop demanding stuff basically. And then that started a troll chirping war between two other people on my comments. And the next thing I knew, I had like 20 notifications on my one comment, and I just sat back and enjoyed it. Well, but it did just remind me that like people are taking this division in golf right now so personally. It's just outrageous.
All right, so it's election day. Let's not dismiss it. Hope you voted. If you didn't vote today, hope you voted before. Don't vote tomorrow. It's too late. But you nailed it in the sense of people taking things personally and almost taking other people's actions, thoughts, words, seeing whatever their own personal worst prejudice or bias is in there and diving for it. And of course, I'm using generalizations because that's what we're talking about. But that way of thinking, that if somebody's doing something different than you, then they're doing it despite you. Period.
Exactly.
Now, there are certain people in the world of golf that I think Greg Norman is doing despite this.
I agree.
but like Joe Shit the Ragman and Keyboard Carry going back and forth in your comments about what was I'm guessing it was something about how moral and awful this is or isn't.
Oh no, it was And let me try to pull up exact because I do forget the general arguments. That were
While you pull it up, I want the
was
specifics, but I mean, honestly, getting so wound up about it. I genuinely enjoy coming on here every Tuesday, talking to you for an hour, hour and a half, whatever it may be, about golf when it's golf, anything else when it's anything else. But doing it, having fun, exercising some demons, getting some thoughts out there, and hopefully sparking some conversation. I hope some people walk away and they go, huh, didn't think about it that way, or damn right. Either one is good with me. But at the end of the day, I genuinely hope that when you put down the phone or the keyboard, that you do look up every once in a while and you've got people that you enjoy and things that you enjoy doing, whether it's reading, writing, watching, doing, building, climbing, sleeping, something that brings that blood pressure back down, because Twitter is not reality. It's a medium of communication. And I'm going to leave it at that. And the people, whatever happens in these elections across the country today, the world's going to keep spinning. Tomorrow we're going to wake up. Gas is still going to suck to pay for, but you're going to need it. And everybody's going to be doing whatever they can to pinch a penny here and there. Welcome to America. It happens from time to time. Look at the rolls, look at the history books. Every couple of decades we go through this, not to minimize it, much more to show solace and comfort in it, in the sense of, we've been there before. We will get through it, and there will be another PGA Tour season. Now, Liv, I don't know, because I don't know how much more you can just keep pumping money down a tube, and almost, I don't know what the ROI is. They've got to start coming up with some people who say, we want to own these teams. Otherwise, the Saudi investment fund is going to get seriously bored, seriously quick. And it'll, like I said, it'll be interesting if our buddy can join us next week. Still, I'm sent an email out just to kind of confirm. We have a connection to somebody who had a front row seat to the live kind of invitational tour this year, and got to walk and talk with the people. So hopefully you can join us next week and give us that insight. Because my armchair quarterback analysis over here is. It's bigger than golf. It's bigger than politics. There is something that's kind of icked through society. And I think it might be part of my theory on access to information, the internet, and the human brain. You know, the arc of human time has been so long, and the amount of time we've had this kind of access to information and each other is just, that's it. That's as long as we've had it. Maybe we're playing catch up. And part of that is to go through this process and have these kind of awareness moments of, just because everything is at my fingertips does not make me the center of the universe anymore. There endeth the lesson.
It's a good lesson though. And which basically kind of leads right into what these two guys were going. What was very apparent by these two people on Twitter going back at it with each other is that this is not their first time going back and forth with each other on Twitter. Because they were referring to each other by the first names of their handles, and we're taking shots because this one guy just like randomly chimed in on another guy's comments. I never forget that this guy thinks there's millions watching live golf in Iran, and then he called him a fangirl, and then the other guy called the one guy a stalker.
Where's this guy bringing Iran into it? And actually, that's a question I've never thought about myself. Like, it is such an information blackout with that country for geopolitical reasons, whatever. Yeah. Big sport in Iran? I mean, I don't think. I mean, I know they're huge into soccer. I believe cricket's massive.
Cricket's massive.
Like the Commonwealth sports that spread throughout the world when the sun didn't set on the British Empire. But that would be interesting, because I guess golf is a Commonwealth sport. But Iran, that's where we went with this.
Well, is it just basically where it ended is that one guy ended up blocking the other guy, and that was that.
He blocked him.
He blocked him. Like, that's what I'm saying though. Like, people are just getting like so personal to where they end up like two comments after going back and forth, like two comments, like they're not even talking about the original subject anymore.
Which was Live Golf. And if you want to find out what that thread was, go find the at Real Mr. Mallard on Twitter. I'm going to say it again because he doesn't have it on the screen for us. We're going to have to fire some more interns in the production truck. But at Real Mr. Mallard on Twitter, at This Bud's For You, anywhere you can find it. But that's with the letter U. I think, do I have YOU? I got to change that.
You do have YOU.
Look at this. Amateur hour over here.
Wow. I'll take it back off the screen then.
Wow, take it off the screen. Take it off the screen. This Bud's for you. Well, it's all misspelled anyways. I don't want to get sued by Budweiser, so it's FORE and then just the short U because I don't know. I thought I was being funny.
Hey,
Live Golf. I appreciate it. I appreciate the cut of your jib. Live Golf's coming back next year with everything that we said they were going to. 60 players, 12 teams. There's no scuttlebutt on any kind of investors owning these things yet. Just the opposite. The big ownership news I saw was, I guess, Fenway Ownership Group's going to put Liverpool up. They're looking at getting over $5 billion for the football club, which
good. It's about time they start focusing back on the Red Sox, the team that their ownership club is named after. So,
does it bother you at all? Actually, I'm going to put a bow on the Live thing. 13, 14 events. I guess they're allowed to miss one, maybe not, off with your head. I don't know what kind of equity. I would like to know more about the equity piece, because that would talk to me. That would speak more to longevity. If there's only like 4 or 5 guys, if it's just DJ Phil and maybe like Cam Smith who have equity in this, then I could see, that's kind of too much of an elitist crowd. But it is an elitist exhibition tour. And I say elite meaning you've capped it at 60 guys, and from the outside looking in, there's no pathway to it other than to be in the club and sign over your playing rights. And also, I don't blame these other tours saying, if that's where you are putting your primary, attention, we're going to say, sorry, we don't want you playing in our tournaments. That everybody, that's not right.
But everyone's within their own right to make those decisions as their own business entities.
You go into the town square naked and you scream profanities. Don't be surprised if people watch.
Were you in my college town?
I was about college town. I wish you would have gone. Like, were you following me yesterday? But
that would have been better.
Because I can tell you at one point, probably in college, if not sooner than that, I've been naked screaming profanities in public, maybe not in public view of anybody, but I was definitely.
Is it college if you weren't at least once? I don't think so.
No, it wasn't. All right, so Live Golf. We'll be back for more. We will follow them, but we'll follow them in the same way that you find out that your favorite band's lead singer split off and formed a group, and it's like, all right, I'm not going to buy the albums or go to the concerts unless you get free tickets. Thanks again, Liv, for letting us cover that up close and personally. Well, at least then we could say to people, no, we have seen it, and there is something there. But true. This is what it is, and just because you have people who used to do the similar activity in a different setting, that setting and prestige and everything didn't follow them over. So I'm sorry. No, I'll stick with the Beatles. I'm not going to go check out Paul McCartney or the Wings. So Live is done. I think the PGA Tour, as far as I'm concerned, I love them, and I'll follow it. I'll tune in Sunday. I loved seeing Russell Henley last week. Go Dogs. Speaking of a big weekend for Georgia,
I was going to bring it up for you.
Well, that's how we're going to pivot into it.
There we go.
First things first, I did have my Mahler Brothers second ball All-American red pocket tee on. That's why it's not on right now. Thank you. I had that on while watching the game. Div Piv, when you go see them, whether it's our t-shirt or not, we'd love for you to buy the second ball All-American, but all their swag's pretty sweet. Yeah. And also Piper Golf, thank you once again. Your balls are going to keep me company in my basement all off season, and I'll get back to you with updates there. It was a great weekend for Georgia sports, for Georgia alumni. I love that I got to say go Dogs to Patrick Reed, knowing that he had an icky departure, and he kind of gave me that look, a sideways glare. But Russell Henley pulling an all-time SEC, it just means more move, following the game while he's leading this tournament, and openly like his caddy was giving an interview saying, no, it's part of my job. He wants to know the score at any given moment. Yeah. I love it. First of all, anybody who questions the habits of any of these performers, whether it's how they work out or don't work out, what they eat or don't eat, if they look at a leaderboard or if they don't, we've seen the gamut. I love the pictures of John Daly and Tiger Woods standing on the green together at St. Andrews, and it just says these two are elite athletes in the same sport. And it's true. So I think it's really effing cool that these guys, these golfers, A, follow the sport as close as they do. B, they've got their college logos on the bags. I don't know if you'll have noticed that.
Yes, they do. That was new this year, right?
No, they've been doing that. a lot of folks have been doing it. More are starting to do it.
That's probably, I was gonna say, I know over the last season that I saw a lot more of it.
But he said it helps him kind of keep loose out there and, keep his mind off. And Jack Nicklaus was famous for saying that was his superpower, being able to just switch it on and switch it off. So whether it's golf scores or, cooking tips or, not everybody is Tiger laser focused in, nothing to say for 6 hours, just asses to kick and birdies to make.
It's good, but I did notice that UGA win for you over the weekend, so I was.
Oh, did you?
I was happy for you.
you were one of the fans watching, or did you just see the score?
No, so I didn't watch the game itself, but I did pick Tennessee to win though. But I had already lost my parlay at that point, so it didn't matter. So at that point, I didn't really care who won, honestly.
You always care. Go Dogs. And they look good, man. The score was tighter than the game actually was because second half rain came and you already have a 3-score lead. Lock it down. Just ride it out.
Yep, perfect.
Tennessee now is I think it's 2.5 times more likely to make the college football playoff than they were before the game after that loss, because history shows if they can run the table and their only loss is to the undefeated SEC champs or whatever,
exactly,
then
they're a lock-in pretty much.
And so, between them, Oregon, if Oregon can win out again, they'll have a Pac-12 title, and their only loss being to Georgia at the beginning of the year, and TCU, just with the fact that they've won a lot of ranked games against ranked opponents. Ranked games, they don't rank the game, derp. So Georgia, Tennessee, TCU, and then you got Michigan, Ohio State. One's going to knock out the other. Tennessee's the one that has to roll off, but you look at the 5 major conferences, and you could have 5 conference champs and only 4 chairs, and then still having a couple of one-loss teams. It's going to be fun and interesting to pay attention to. A guy like you who primarily focuses on NFL, hockey, and I don't know, maple syrup. Do you
golf.
This time golf?
We are a golf show.
Is this the time of year that you become kind of a college football fan?
No.
God.
Because my college football team is Boston College, who is awful. I'm a legitimate fan. I'm a legitimate fan of them, and they just so it's just no.
That'd be like if I was a basketball guy and went to Georgia, it's like, oh God.
Yeah, and for the rest of the stuff that I had, I do sure, it's the time of year where we're in that halfway point of the NFL season where a lot of people start to kind of fade off with it. But because I do content for that too, I'm still fully in on the NFL.
You're depressing as hell.
Why?
No, I was going to say, I always kind of get into whatever major sport is going on about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through. We're not even there, but I'm wearing my Celtics shirt. That's like the 3rd time I've done that because I'm a TikToker now. Mostly just because I saw it the other day. I was like, it's basketball season again. We can get this guy back out. I won't really pay attention to them much until June again. Are they in the playoffs? Are they not? Same thing with hockey. I saw that. Give me the bar room or coffee shop explanation of, because I live in this world in this part of the country, what was going on with the Bruins the last week or so with some kid. What's the long and the short of it?
The short answer is that the Bruins just were, I guess, just blind to. I don't even know how to say it. They were so tone deaf to how signing this guy Mitchell Miller. I think he goes by Mitchell. It's Mitch Miller though, who was drafted in the 4th round by the Coyotes.
Arizona.
Yeah. A few I forget exactly what year it was, but it might have been last year or 2020 maybe it was. I forget the exact year, but whatever. He was drafted. After he was drafted, a local paper or news station down there did a story on him about how he had basically bullied and harassed and abused this a disabled black kid from the ages of 2nd grade all the way until they were 16. And Arizona, the Coyotes cut ties with them almost immediately in the fallout of that story. and that was that. And the Bruins, for some reason, without even meeting with him in person, without like doing, I don't think really any real vetting other than just saying, oh, it's a mistake that like the main thing that was in that period of time that he got like, really called out and accused on was something in like the 8th grade, I think. They just kind of like, oh, he was a kid and just signed him, even though they didn't check with the NHL. The NHL came out like a day later and said, we were not made aware of this signing. He's not eligible. So like it was this big PR nightmare for the Bruins.
The NHL can veto an organization. Oh, real quick. Okay. Now I do know what you're talking about here, because I thought what I overheard on the radio was essentially that they were making kind of the analogy of everything on paper made you go, oh, okay, makes sense. Yeah. You have to be, but you have, that's from the objective, like you just said, looks like this kid was an awful kid. And so your brain goes, that's when he was a kid. Sure. Maybe he's moved on. But if you read like just one more page,
then you realize the level it went to, the amount of time that it lasted,
and the duration of it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, and that's then it was like, and that's why the Bruins took a shot and said like, okay, looks like things, but it's like, now it looks like amateur hour. Okay.
And now they've cut ties with them.
I was more concerned. Like I was more concerned, like the NHL at any given moment. Like, let's say I'm a world-class, hockey player, and the Bruins are like, hey, we need you all of a sudden. And hey, we sign up. Just the NHL has the ability to go, no, that guy can't play. Or was there something about this kid's background in that situation? Because when they say he's not eligible, did they mean by age, or like he's still under certain restrictions with Arizona?
No, I think it was, I'm assuming when the Arizona cut ties with him, if they hadn't, he was going to be under some sort of
I see. There was like a pending,
like some sort of league disciplinary actions or something is what I'm assuming. And then they just cut ties with them, so the league never like carried those out. So the second he was signing, they were like, wait a minute, we're going to have to like follow through with this, which means he's not eligible to even be signed right now, because
for lack of a better analogy, the NHL kind of said to Arizona, all right, if you want to sign this kid, this is what we know about him. And because of that, these are the stipulations. Sure, you can sign him, but he's going to have to wait a year and a half to play, or whatever the heck it was. And Arizona said, all right, we're out. And so Bruins said, ooh, look at this. And they came in, and the NHL's like, but wait a minute. Those stipulations were not, they weren't specific to Arizona. They were specific to the player.
This is like a year to two, I believe it's been since he was drafted even by Arizona. It's like he's
interesting. So like okay. And so no, this is fascinating, because even like from the kid's side, workers' rights to how long can they of course, like everything else is going to end up in court. Mm-hmm. But that's what I saw somebody again ranting and raving about, something that looked good on paper. And then once you look, and it
wasn't a good look.
Well, just like the Brokeback story of the year, Liv Can't Quit It. Mm-hmm. It comes back to, Live Golf, where Dan Patrick says it the best. You make your own decisions. You make your own kind of bed. You have to do what you have to do for you and your family, XYZ, et cetera, ad nauseum. You know what you know about this league, and whether or not you feel that way, the stigma now exists out there, or the facts are the facts, and certain people will put these facts together, and some of them are foundational, and some of them are window dressing.
You can't control them all,
and you can't control. And you can't control how everybody decides to put them together. Everybody's brains are different computers. They're wired differently. The inputs go in differently. So you have to make room for that when you do things like sign with Liv or be a proponent. I look at like the country club adjacent guys. First of all, just that side of the game has always been there, right? It's been a very quiet, sleepy corner of people who are just willing to bust each other's, so that's why I love that it's on the forefront now, because golf can be a sport that is nothing but fun, no competition, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. And as long as you freaking keep the pace of play, right. Sure. Come one, come all, and nothing's off limits. So they have not been co-opted, but I mean, they kind of blew up because of the access they got to these guys through Liv their product was already good in the first place. Like I said, kind of dudes in every sense of the word, just a bunch of dudes who like to try to make each other laugh. And
they were
now,
doing to the pros what exactly all of us do to each other.
It's Ashton Kutcher and Punked all over again. Why did everybody want to watch Punked? Not because people were getting pranked, because famous people were getting pranked. So why do we want to see the Country Club Adjacent guys? Not because people are talking shit and making insults. It's famous people getting there. So do they get treated? Because I kind of put them in the entertainment category. And so do they get treated like a piece of entertainment? Is that same stigma out there with them? Or do they get a pass because they're more of covering or kind of parallel to the sport? Because they are there under like press credentials, so to speak.
They are. Yep. They have the behind the ropes. So they have the highest press credentials you can get.
Right.
So they can get that access, and they have that access. They do most of their.
By the way, I love it. I everything about it.
This is much more like a philosophical. They do their filming on the Wednesday practice round when they're out there with the with the sponsors playing rounds with them. So they're out there doing that with them. No, because I think it's a pass because they are the live doesn't need them. I don't.
Yeah, they do.
Well.
Do you know how much? Do you know how much street credit the love of a social media outlet and an influencer group like that gets, and the bleed over into other sports like skateboarding? One of the guys is huge into skateboarding. That's like his main thing. Yeah. And you talk about a counterculture sport, and so there's a massive market over there for guys who might be like, "You're right. You don't have to be PGA." So when I say like, it's tough because I don't think there should be stigma on anybody, right?
No, yeah. But it makes sense for them to be doing it at Live because of Live as the atmosphere that what's it called? That welcomes that. Yes. Like we've said. Now I'd have to look to really see how much they're mentioning or showing anything Live when it comes to the videos they put out. Like, I'm not sure how much they're necessarily pushing the Live brand in their videos, or if they're just taking advantage of the access of it. I don't think they have to, and that's what I was saying. Where I'm not sure they like.
It's partnership marketing.
I don't view them as hand in hand with Live. I view them as their own thing. So
that's what I was getting at. Is I actually do see them hand in hand with Live unofficially, because that's the only coverage they're getting. Those are the only events they're getting access to. They're not going to PGA. As a matter of fact, PGA Tour they've kind of road tested their own version of that in different ways. One was like a blatant ripoff, and I don't even remember the name of it. I just remember hearing about it, going, "Come on, guys! Like, find your own shit." And again, not in a bad way, but. So I do have a question for the folks who want to take all the negative stereotypes of Saudi Arabia and what's entailed and just say, like, where does that line stop then? Because, you know, how many degrees of separated do you have to be before your hands are clean? Because I go back to my iPhone analogy of probably made in a sweatshop.
I think it goes down to a deeper, larger question that I think the question that I think you're trying to get at, that I think it speaks. This question might make it clear, is that for all these guys, the golfers, for the guys like a Country Club Adjacent, anybody who's going to Live events to further themselves in whatever way, how much is your dream worth? Or where, like you said, where's the line of what is your dream worth the potential criticism if you're tied to this? Or to what point are you willing to stop chasing? Like, is it not worth the headache? Because the golfers, like, they are all, some of them for money, some of them as a way into the professional golf world on a quote unquote fast track to the money. The Country Club Adjacent guys getting out there because it gives them the best access to get them the most, like, the best content they can get. It just makes sense. You know, like we've said before, there might be a price from the haters of the social and moral aspects of the money back in the tour, but I think it just comes down to at what point do you draw that line for what you're trying to achieve as a personal person? Personal person.
And I'll put it out there because you're stumped. I think you draw it right at the beginning, and you shut the fuck up. You look in the mirror before you start casting stones. You stop taking what other people are trying to do. Give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that they're doing it, like you said, for the right reasons, for access, they're doing it for the money. You're damn right. Where's my bag? I do it. I do it in a heartbeat.
Exactly.
So whatever their reasons, give them the benefit of the doubt a little bit and just back off the gas pedal.
Yeah.
That you want to go after them. Go after them for their lack of viewers. Go after them for their stupid makeup. Go after them for the confusing, go full Hardy on them.
Yeah. Look at the actual format of golf, how it relates to golf and golf only.
Or their lack of performance. I mean, I don't even care if people want to talk shit about they don't have a TV program yet, because I think that's fair criticism to say you got how much billions sunk into this already or promised, and you still don't have a product that. Now, again, have they been blackballed unofficially? No, I don't think they've been quote unquote blackballed unofficially. I think business people are making business decisions, and these massive media contracts that have been in place for decades. It's not the good old boy network and trying to keep Greggy out. I think it's Greg Norman knew what he was getting into. He thought he was picking a fight with a bully, and instead he's just picking a fight with a bigger person. Neither one of them are, it's like you weren't getting bullied, Greg. Not every idea gets shot down is because that person is just, they don't get me. So what you got, embrace it, which I think he is embracing it a little too much. You've heard me say he should be in the background more. And I think you will see, I think that's probably some of the feedback's going to be that let's find our faces. Bubba's one of them already. We saw that. Phil Mickelson was doing tower coverage or whatever during the team finals, which I watched not one single shot. I saw a social media post that said Dustin Johnson got richer, and then I saw one that Pat Perez was doing some stupid dance and his eyes got closer, and that was it. Outside of that, I didn't see, because again, you getting more money doesn't make my socks roll up and down. And I'm not being a hater. It's much more of just like, because I mean, you got $28 million now. Okay. So you're still not as good at golf as those guys.
Here's what it goes to, and I touched on this in my old article about Tiger Woods winning the Masters and whatnot, and his emotion behind it. There's no way in hell you're gonna get a winner of a live golf tournament, even if it's their claim to be their biggest one of the year. There's no way you're gonna get the winner of that golf tournament in tears, hugging his family up by side the green because they accomplished something. All you're gonna get is the rah rah, like like you're saying, the more money, because that's what the atmosphere is. Since the money is what's driving the focus and the oh man, I can't think of my words tonight. Because the money is what's driving the ambition for their play. It's almost like the personal feelings that can also creep into golf are being pushed aside, and you're not going to get the same stories as you're going to get on the PGA. You're not going to get that same appreciation for a win, I don't think.
No, and that's what they want right off the rip. What they got to understand about that is there's nobody as an adult grew up dreaming of live golf. Right now, it still is a business opportunity, which is a different kind of emotion. I do think that you might see that, or you did see it a little bit from the Spanish kid who was fresh out of college. And then actually, no, he won that DP World Tour. He was the DP World Tour. And then he won, he won the live event. Sorry. Yeah. The Oklahoma State kid won the live event. It was the first time the four ace, it broke the four aces streak.
Yeah.
I can see that, like James Pyatt from Michigan State,
that's a fair point, though. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. Those guys, that's a fair point.
It's different emotion, though. It is that they would get they would get a little bit more, but they would get that similar financial security, from winning their first PGA Tour event, because not the immediacy of it, but because the exemptions it comes with and the opportunity. And that's where we go back to participation trophy golf versus what's on the line. So you'll see some of that, especially when some of these quote unquote no names or some people who come out of nowhere and they win their first live event, and all of a sudden it's like $4 million. And that would have taken them how many years of grinding on the PGA Tour and Corn Ferry Tour. So I get that, but it's a different emotion to your point. That's not my dreams just came true. That's my hard work has paid off faster than I thought it was going to. And so those are equally valid, reactions, but there is a difference in that. Will Zalatoris said it. It's more money. It's not life-changing money. Yeah. Life-changing money, you hit to that threshold and, once you get there, then it is just more. Rory said it. I've said it. Not that I have it. And now Will Zalatoris, we're going to see more of it. So hopefully the Houston Open can make somebody else's dreams come true.
Hey, it might. It's got a nice mixed field in there. So
speaking of dreams coming true, can the Pats make an outside run at this playoffs? That defense, it hasn't been against great competition.
Yeah. So I was just actually looking at a website quarter four. Let me make sure they were .com. That's awful of me. Pretty sure. No, that's why I didn't think so. It's quarter4.io. So keep an eye out for them. I'm actually going to be doing a Patriots prediction show using their software. They have prediction software. They have to where you can change the prediction will change compared to guys that you show as in or out for that week for the team. It'll change the percentage of winning. They give their own odds for prediction of winning based on the odds. So it's a nice tool to kind of do some simulation research. So we're diving into that. I'm going to be doing a Patriots-centered show here in the coming probably week or two. So be on the lookout for that. But what I'm getting at is, so I just randomly looked at their NFL kind of season preview predictions for the rest of the season. They actually have the Patriots sneaking in as a wild card right now, which I was a little surprised by. They have them finishing third in the AFC East, and with the Dolphins, Patriots, and Bills all making the playoffs.
Hold on 1 second. I got it. Sorry, I was just picking up that plug you dropped. But that is good news. The tide looks like the tide's turning. I never lost the faith. The thing about the Pats is, this is not college football. Style points don't matter. It's either you're a 1 or a 0 I used to seriously shameless plug.
Well, what he's written, just to tie both of these shameless plugs off with a bow here, there will be a simulation done by a different personality here at Belly Up Sports, Belly Up Media for each of the 32 NFL teams. So be on the lookout for your teams. There'll be like an hour-long episode for all the teams. So keep an eye out for all of them.
Listen, only plugs not allowed on this show are the ones that go in your, and you know what I'm talking about. So, but a phrase that I used to hate, absolutely hate, it was up there with the major psychotic fucking hatreds and not a pet peeve, was football players just trying to go 1-0 every week. 1-0 every week. I used to absolutely hate that.
Been listening to too much Bill Belichick.
And I'm just like, why not just say we want to win all our games? We know we're not going to. And it's because that is too big. That's too, win them all. You can't. The reality is you can't win them all, and so you do have to get your vision down to you go 1-0 each week.
I get the idea of keeping the focus.
I still think it sounds arrogant, pompous, and stupid, but then again, that's coming from me. But that seems to be this could be that fumbling, bumbling, stumbling. All they need are a few more weeks like this out of the defense, and
they need to fit. So it's their bye week this week. They need to figure out the offense on this bye week.
Who's the running back? Oh, who's the running back? Stevenson?
Yeah, so I heard on Stevenson, I heard an interesting stat brought up on the radio that actually shocked me because I hadn't done the research to look at the stats. But, we watch these games, and I think everyone watching the games realizes that Stevenson is the most explosive player on the offense.
First words out of my wife's mouth.
And he's and like when he runs the ball, he looks explosive. But then if you look at the stats so far in the season, he's we have the number 22nd ranked run offense in the league, which I was shocked that it was that low. And he's ranked 41st in yards before contact, meaning he's getting hit immediately, which means our offensive line blows right now. And the fact that he has looked as explosive as he has with as little room and little time he's had to really make a clear read on where he needs to go just speaks more volumes to him But if they got to figure out the offensive line and the receivers' chemistry with Mac Jones this bye week, or they're screwed because they have like another 1 or 2 quote unquote easy weeks left on their schedule before it starts to get a little tougher
Some
again.
haymakers coming in at the end there. I was looking at that
They got the Bills on Thursday Night Football, December 1st. Obviously, that's gonna. I mean, yes, the Jets just
Josh Allen soft, been playing too much golf in the offseason.
Well, what could be big here is that Josh Allen is hurt now. He got hurt in the last
play soft. I'm just kidding.
Well, they're exploring the possibility of. I guess haven't actually seen an update on this. I got to check into this, but they were looking at his UCL, and his throwing shoulder or throwing arm. I forget if UCL is elbow or shoulder. I think it's elbow actually. But it sounds like if it is that, the Bills' outcome for the season might drastically change.
Yeah, and I think that's wonderful news. I mean, thoughts and prayers to him and his family. But I do think that bodes well. But what I like what you're saying, Tommy John surgery.
Well, and I'm glad Ryan said that because that's what I was trying to think of. That is what they were exploring. If that is in fact
you watch football.
I couldn't find the words.
So back when I was a young buck baseball player, I still hate that Bruce Springsteen said speedball, not even a fucking term. But back when I was a young buck baseball player, Tommy John surgery was just kind of becoming routine. And now in baseball, it's almost a rite of passage, especially I'm not saying it's the healthiest thing, but I wouldn't be shocked.
It used to be a death sentence to your career, though.
It used to be, but now what they're showing is because these guys are coming back from it and they're bouncing back. Like they're almost doing it not preemptively, but it's like at the first sign of it, it's like, let's go ahead and do it because we know now that we can bounce back. In our lifetime, I wouldn't be shocked if you start seeing some of that in football where it's like, oh, he's in 8th grade and he's 6'1" already. Let's go ahead and get that thing changed out now so that we can go build it up from the ground. I'm not a doctor, but I could just see that kind of happening. I mean, the logic makes sense to me.
That would be insane if like preemptive surgeries became a thing. As it like almost like
you don't think that there's preemptive surgery already in sports?
Oh no, I'm sure there is, but I'm saying if it became like like to the level you're saying, like of like a 6th grader is what I'm saying. Like looking at it like you're changing out the transmission in your car. It's gonna. There's a chance it might die in the next 5 years, but if you change it now, you're gonna get another 30 years out of it, kind of thing.
Real quick, back to your running back thing. That reminds me of the analogy of like the 2 baseball players from home to first. One's got bad form, one's got good form. Mm-hmm. At the same time, you take the one with bad form because you teach him good form, and then he beats the other guy. It does sound like they might have a special running back there, which Belichick's known for finding diamonds in the rough, or just finding the undervalued, is that the right term? Undervalued player or overlooked, as we would say in the layman.
I wouldn't even say Stevenson was undervalued or overlooked. I think he's surprising. Maybe the part of him that was undervalued was the fact that he is as versatile as he is. The fact that he's been so successful catching the ball, running routes, blocking. He's been able to do it all. That's why Bill Belichick might actually pay this guy eventually.
So, did you ever see Varsity Blues?
Of course, that was like a teenage rite of passage movie right there. Talk about
funny,
rite of passages.
Teenage rite of passage. I remember seeing that in the movies with illicit substances, but that's neither here nor there. It was booze. We weren't doing drugs or anything. We were a bunch of redneck kids.
What year did that movie come out in?
It was like late 90s. It was like 97, 98, 99.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
I want to say it was 98 or 99 because I remember we used to drive down to the beach listening to the soundtrack. But going back to... There's the running back who has a knee problem the entire season. They just keep cranking him full of cortisone shots right to his knee. Skip ahead 20 years, 25 years. And those are that's what I was getting at, like the preemptive surgery. Those are those scenarios that do a little digging. Again, I'm not a big time Jay. I'm not a journalist, just a curious guy. And you look around and I'm sure you can find some stories where that first sprain, it's like, well, it was a sprain now. So we know that if you sprain it 2 or 3 more times, or even 1 more time, or that kind of partial tear, and instead of healing it over time, let's go ahead and just do that. Was the rumor about Mac Jones and that high ankle sprain was that the Patriots were looking at it going, we need to go ahead and do the surgery now. We know that this injury could, and he was saying, can we just wait? And it turns out
it wasn't as bad as it was originally thought to be.
But so it goes back to what I was just getting at is It's not like I'm saying Tommy John specifically might become one of those surgeries that,
Sure.
you want your kid to be Pat Mahomes, go ahead and get him the Tommy Johns early, and then
But
let
that
that good tendon stress out. But this example, he turned out to be right, but he didn't go the Patriot way.
Well, so in this example, comparison to Tommy John surgery, like you said, has been around for a long time now, to where it's been able to evolve to the point where these guys are bouncing back.
Yeah,
this
outpatient,
this
not literally.
tightrope surgery that they were looking at for Mac Jones is, I don't know the exact years, but it's on the newer, in the terms of medical procedures, is on the newer end still.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was good. I've heard good arguments to where Mac Jones saw Tua get this while he was in Alabama still.
Yeah, that's where I was about to go.
And he saw the way he bounced back, and it worked for Tua. But he's also, other guys haven't bounced back the same way. And there is still a risk factor that I think is what Mac Jones ultimately was weighing against. And I don't blame him, given the situation where he is, the young starter on a team who still expects to win right now. I don't blame him for not wanting to sit out like the majority of the rest of the year and potentially be, looked over and thought that they might need to get another quarterback. I don't blame him for not wanting to grab it right now. Like, that to me is almost as valuable as what his future down the road with this team would be.
And and the point that I was going to get at through this, but you brought it up first. Well, you brought up the detour to my point, which was he did have a front row seat to Tua getting this. He saw him bounce back, but then he also saw Tua break his hip shortly afterwards. So
yes,
when you see those things and you're intimately up close to him, you can't separate the two either. So who knows? There could be some lingering, like some of that karmic BS that people don't buy into. But what I like about it is a subtle head nod to our assumptions about how draconian Bill Belichick and the Patriot way is. Here's a kid who him and his quote unquote team. I don't know why I did that. All of these players are surrounded by a team of people who A, are either suckling at the teats, or B, are just family, friends, this, that, and the other, who do genuinely support it.
Yeah.
Race car drivers aren't the only ones who got teams out there. Car run real good. But Mac Jones and his team empowering him to say, kid, pump the brakes for 2 seconds. Yeah. Let's just, what is 24 hours for the next 24 years of your life? I mean, that could have been his brain of, wait, one day coach is pissed. He's pissed at you. What is he going to do? Bench you? You're already on the bench. Or what is he going to do? Bench you? No. Like you just play it out.
Funny enough, he did, but funny enough.
I know, right? For a game.
He gave him that was more situation that game in the second half when he was going to come back, and that thing was away from them already.
Yeah,
and so no, that's more of a joke, because I don't think that was a legitimate.
But then Belichick being cagey with the media all week about, like, oh, he wasn't eligible. Yeah. First of all, Belichick, I genuinely think his three favorite pastimes, in no particular order: his fishing boat, which I think is now named like 8 rings or 9 rings or whatever the hell he has.
Does he include his wedding rings?
He does. It's named after his. That's funny. That's actually pretty funny. I thought you were going somewhere else.
No,
playing with his adorable dog.
Yep.
I think nothing makes him happier than his new wife and his dog.
The only other living thing in this world that he trusts to draft his team for him.
And fucking with anybody who's not on his level when it comes to football.
Yes.
Which is why when a reporter or a journalist or an interviewer gets him on the history of the game or military stuff, he lights up and he engages, because it would be like, I mean, honestly, it would be like you trying to seriously challenge me head to head in a golf match where I'm like, come on, man. Like it.
You don't think I showed you on the course what I'm capable of?
No, you did, which is why I'm confident saying that. You showed me exactly what you're capable, which is why the analogy is so spot on. I don't care how long Shefty's been around. He doesn't have the football brain that Belichick does. No offense to Adam Schefter. I just saw that he had fun at the Manning cast with his shirt off, which I thought was funny.
I was just gonna bring up, because that just reminded, did you see that he was just randomly with his shirt off? Yeah. Like, what the hell is he doing?
It's 2022. Like, I
know.
mean, it's kind of like when
Fun.
it's kind of like when they did the John Clayton commercial or whatever. He turns to the side and he's got the ponytail that we didn't know existed.
Oh yeah.
Remember that from back in the day?
He's in his mom's basement with his heavy metal cutoff shirt. Yeah, I remember that commercial. That was a great
So I think what this has kind of taught us is our assumptions about the outside looking in, the quote unquote Patriot way and how hard it was may have been a little more TB12 than BB gun, but
yeah,
I definitely, because Bill Belichick, every story you hear about him, sorry about that. Every story you hear about him,
I didn't notice anything.
always is surrounded by, or it always has this somebody with the caveat of he's funnier than he's so much funnier than you understand, or he's hilarious. He always, and I think that is because he's simple. He's always wanted to do this. He's living out his dream. He's been around football his entire life. I mean, you hear him talk about going into the locker room and meeting George Halas when he was younger, and the reverence with which he still speaks of that older generation. He still calls him like Mr. Brown, and the guy is. I definitely am Team Belichick. I'll never give up Tom Brady. I liked him before you all had him back when he was at Michigan. I was obsessed with him as a kid. My parents were a Michigan family, right? So,
that makes sense. Yeah.
But I think this thing with Mac Jones is just another case of us, and by us, I'm lumping in anybody else, but me taking the cheese, wanting a story, and there's no story there. It was a high ankle sprain, and the team doctors said, "Oh, looks like it's this, and we recommend X," and his team went, "All right, cool. We're just going to hold tight for a second and either get another opinion or just let it play out for another day and then reassess." And
which, to be fair, and backing up Mac and his team, there was a lot of stories about him getting the fact that he got a second opinion was proof that he wasn't agreeing with the team, and there was this rift between him and Belichick, which I thought was such a reach, because when I heard that, when you see, this is where if you do the extra little step of research, you find out the doctor that he went to get a second opinion on is actually one of the industry leading doctors for the tightrope procedure that it's apparently the team wanted him to get. So it's not like he went to someone who he knew hated on this procedure.
He wasn't going out there for confirmation bias from somebody.
He was going out to a guy that most likely was going to say yes to the procedure, and so
it was most likely going to pay. Here's the down payment for another beach house for this procedure.
Yeah,
so what, kid?
When I found that information out, I was actually did a 180 on that whole narrative, which I never bought into the narrative that Mac Jones and Bill and the team had this negative communication between them. I was more so buying into, well, wait a minute. Maybe Mac wants the surgery because he saw Tua get it and have success, and maybe the team is saying no. I wasn't buying into that either, but I was more so on that side than the side that was out there in the news, because I put the pieces together in that he chose to go to a guy that does this procedure.
They were just struggling, so I wanted something to grab onto. I'm more excited about the fact they've got two solid. We got to see Bailey Zappi early season. Still looked good. So we got two good quarterbacks, or at least NFL caliber quarterbacks, under contract. Yeah, thank you. Under contract for the next 3 to 5 years. So things look bright. If the defense can hold it together, the sky's the limit. But I think if they can bank enough, if they can hit double digits going into that last 2-3 weeks, and I'm not saying you slide at the end, but wild card. Here we go.
Well, the AFC West isn't shaping out to be the absolute juggernaut that everyone predicted, including me, in the offseason. It just hasn't worked out that way. So I think if the Patriots can hit 8 wins, a wild card is 100%. 100% in the cards if they can hit 8 wins.
In the AFC, 8 and you know what the funny thing is? I forgot though, because of the new.
I'm sorry. They changed this, so it would have to be 9 wins. I'm sorry, because 8 wins would they be
8 and 9?
8 and 9. Never mind. I'm sorry. I forgot they went to freaking 17.
Listen, 8 and 9 wins still be it.
Well, I don't think in the AFC it will be, but in the NFC there might be a division winner at 8 and 9. In the NFC South, so
we've seen it out west before, where and it's not even in the too distant memory where we see some 500 or even sub 500, because you get that random game where 12-4 wild card team has to go on the road to an 8-8 division winner and gets upset and everybody cries foul. And it's like, you know what?
They
It's
still
the
had
luck
to
of the
show up
draw.
for that game. That's what happens.
And
but yeah,
listen,
so we'll see. If they hit if they hit 9 wins, I think there's a real shot.
All right, question for you before we hang it up. First and foremost, I will get you an update as soon as I've got the hard confirmation on our friend for next week. And then check us out on Twitter for more updates, details. Subscribe to the YouTube channel before you do anything else tonight.
Yes.
Help us get those numbers up. But are you going to wake up early and watch Tommy Boy play in Munich on Sunday morning? Do you get up for the morning NFL games on Sunday?
Yes.
I just love that. I like waking up with.
I mean, I gotta see what time that game is actually starting. I think it's like 9:30, like the London games have been.
I mean, I think the biggest deal here is the fact that it's in Germany now, too, right? I think we've had games.
That'll be interesting to see how the fans are for that, like how the fans show up for that. I am curious about it.
Almost everybody I've ever met from Eastern Europe has a fascination with American football,
Perfect.
and I think almost because it's not theirs, right? Like it's the people over here who get fascinated with Premier League, the size and scope of it, where they might take it for granted or it's been around forever. But the point that I was going to make is Roger Goodell recently in an interview gave a little wink and a nod to a European division, period, in the NFL, which
been the talks for many years.
Right.
Many years they've been talking about that.
So, I mean, you go to 36 teams or whatever it might be. Because again, we've talked about how they have smart people who can look at a spreadsheet and figure out how to make it happen to where, everybody's got to go overseas like once every other season, whatever, this, that, and the other. You've got your European division, and then, you go from there. Last question. Yes or no, in our lifetime, do we see a Super Bowl in London?
No, not a Super Bowl. No, I don't think a Super Bowl will end up in London. I don't see that. I see by your facial expressions, you might think differently. It might be a bigger conversation for a different episode, but my short answer is no. I think the Super Bowl will always stay in the lower 48.
I think if NFL goes to Europe, it's going to come with $1 billion stadium somewhere. It might not be London, so I might have to amend my prediction. But I think that in our lifetime, which it's a tough bet to put out there. Well, but I think we'll see an international Super Bowl.
Just think about the logistics of that. That means here in the U.S., the Super Bowl would not be taking place in a primetime television hour.
Why not?
Because think about it. So right now, just to even hit like for them, like this.
No, I get the math of it all. The game would be played, but the game would be played early in the day live, which
they always cater to the West. They always cater to the West Coast when it comes to prime time. They give the edge to them. That's why we don't start Monday Night Football until like 8:30.
So that plays into something that I've been researching and working on, and you just add another layer to it, and I'll talk about it another time. But
let's do that.
It involves Super Bowl. It involves the Super Bowl. It involves the Super Bowl.
Put it in the back pocket because look, we can talk about that in either next week or in coming shows, depending on who we have for guests. Look, we didn't even get to the announcement that Tiger, Rory, JT, and holy shit, for the upcoming match, the latest match. Who the hell is
Jordan
the fourth?
Spieth.
Thank you, Spieth. Like we didn't even talk about the match.
We'll talk about it week of. That's that.
Yeah. I'm saying just the fact. Like I think that's just another example of the PGA trying to put as much focus on a certain group of guys that they want in the forefront of their product right now.
I don't blame them either.
Oh, I don't blame them. I just think they are like really going full at it right now, and as they should be.
For freaking
so
sure.
I think it brings up conversations of what we might be seeing coming down the line of a finally changing PGA.
And let's get into that next week. So next week, come back. We're gonna have a friend who had a front row seat to the live experience. We're gonna get into why the PGA Tour could benefit from a little more live-esque experience, as you just kind of talked about there, and how the PGA Tour is putting up their dukes, and mostly about how an international Super Bowl is not outside the realm of possibility. Back to you in the studio.
We'll get there. We'll prepare our debate points and we'll figure it out live here for everyone to hear. And what, of course, as always, with every topic we talk about, whatever we say will become true and will become history. So you're going to want to listen. As always, thank you for joining us here every Tuesday night for Divots and Pivots. We will see you next week, as we alluded to, with the likely possibility of a special guest to talk a special topic. So make sure to tune in. Make sure to be on the lookout on the Twitters at Real Mr. Mallard, at This Buds For You. I'm going to put it up real fast, even though the at This Buds For You is the incorrect spelling at the moment. But still, go and find us. You'll be able to see Bud's picture. Nice face shot right away when you look it up. So catch us next Tuesday, same time, 8 o'clock, YouTube, Twitter, bellyup.tv. We'll be here for you. And we look forward to you coming and joining us next time. See you next week.